Now, Pelosi, in her trademark phrase, has said that this idea is off the table. Now, but 41 senators without Reid could filibuster the funding of this occupation. And the single most likely senator to find the nerve to do it, the only senator who challenged the Ohio election results, the only senator who has spoken out for impeachment is a senator in this state, Senator Barbara Boxer. So, by all means, go after Senator Feinstein for selling out. But put the focus where we can get something done, and that is on Senator Boxer. I know tomorrow in San Diego they're going to the offices of both of them. Now, they could establish the model for filibustering the occupation money by following Senator Chris Dodd's lead and filibustering a bill to legalize unconstitutional spying and grant immunity to violators of FISA and our Fourth Amendment. This sets the model for how you do it. It's about blocking bills, not passing bills. And in the House, there are now 90 Congress members who have at least committed to voting no on any funding bills that don't end the thing by January of '09. There's a lot more deaths away, and there are lots of weak problems with this letter, but that's 90 names in the right direction. And you can go to pdamerica.org or afterdowningstreet.org/peace-pledge to get involved in that. The funding to bring every soldier and sailor and Marine and contractor and mercenary home is pocket change in the Pentagon, which routinely misplaces greater sums. But if Bush wants money for a withdrawal, Congress can pass that and nothing else. But to do that out of fear of the media, I think would suggest an attitude in Congress that is not yet ready to challenge the White House and its propaganda machine. And that's what we're going to need. We're going to need Congress members to go grassroots, to join us in opposition to the military-industrial media complex. And I don't think fear of the media is the largest force keeping Congress from acting. I think more important is Congress members' obedience to party leadership and that leadership's cynical decision to keep the war going for electoral reasons that may fail on their own terms. So what we have to do is make it easier for each individual Congress member to oppose the leadership on this than it is for them to continue to oppose the majority of the American people. Now, a lot of us believe that we are already in a constitutional crisis. We have a White House that ignores subpoenas, rewrites laws, violates laws, lies to Congress, lies to the public, spies without warrant, detains without charge, tortures, murders, uses illegal weapons, abandons cities to destruction, rigs elections. We can take all night with the list. Most Congress members don't think this way. They don't think we're in a crisis. After all, most people still treat them as big shots, still offer them piles of cash. And even though Bush and Cheney ignore their subpoenas, they can still send letters to the White House that often show up in newspapers. But quite a few Congress members would think we were in a crisis if they cut off the war funding, because Bush and Cheney would simply steal money from the Pentagon to keep the occupation going. It's redundant to say illegally, because it's always been illegal. It's illegal under the UN Charter and our Constitution to invade and occupy another nation. It is illegal to lie to Congress. It is illegal to misappropriate funds to begin the attack before congressional authorization. It's illegal to launch a war without a proper declaration of war. And it is illegal to turn a 6-week cakewalk into a permanent occupation using bases that were never approved by Congress and never publicly discussed. The semblance of legality comes from Congress's checkbook. If they cut that money off, Bush and Cheney will not end the occupation. And this worry about funds for withdrawal will look absurd as Bush and Cheney find much greater amounts of money. Congress will then have two choices. The first is to admit that we now have a king and a bunch of court jesters rather than a Congress with an executive. The second choice is also the second useful thing that I mentioned that Congress can do that does not involve passing a bill, and that is to take out and make use of that portion of our Constitution that reads, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors."